5 bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire. 5 bells move in immediately.
That's it. Let's roll!
Let's go! Firefighters!
Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a minute, we'll join Fire Chief Cody and rookie fireman Tim Collins at the scene of an accident that was to bring mystery and adventure in its wake. It wasn't that the accident itself amounted to much. It was more the fact that it was unnecessary that angered Chief Cody. Now, you'll see how it all started in just a minute, right after this message. Let's go, firefighters. Let's watch a fire truck racing through the streets in a crowded section of town. It's rookie fireman Tim Collins' outfit answering an alarm. And there's Tim himself hanging on back. Now, let's not go too close now, because the unexpected is about to happen. See? A youngster has just stepped out from a parked car. He's seen the truck and he's ducked back. But to avoid him, the driver has swerved the great fire truck, and Tim has been thrown off balance. He hits the street hard, lies there without moving, while the truck pulls up before the firebox just ahead.
Tim, get up, fella. Holy smoke, he's been knocked out cold. No, I think he's moving.
Hey, what hit me? Who?
Ed Dunham killed your pal. I was standing right alongside you when the truck swung suddenly and pitched you off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember now. Oh, come on, let's go, Ed.
What's the matter, your ankle?
Yeah, buckled right out from under me.
Stay down then, you hear me? Don't try to get up, Tim.
I've got it. That fired. Oh, look, Ed, there's Chief Cody's car pulled up already. What do you think he'll say?
I don't know, but whatever it is, here he comes to say it.
Oh, brother, does he look sore? Oh, now I'm in for it.
Oh, it could have happened to anybody.
Well, Tim, you all right there, son?
I will be in a minute, Chief. I'm sorry I pulled a boner like that, sir.
It wasn't his fault, Chief Cody. Let me explain.
Oh, look, I can't hold us up like this. Let's get back to the fire.
What fire? A false alarm.
You sure?
Of course I am. Someone saw the youngster who pulled the box, but he got away.
Well, that doesn't help Tim much.
That's what makes me mad, son. False alarms endanger the lives of my men, endanger other property while we're chasing up blind alleys. And there have been too many of them.
Oh, well, sir, at least the truck didn't hit that kid. It was mighty close, though.
Mighty bad business all around. Now, as I look at that lump coming out on your head, Tim, I'm liking it even less. Come on, Ed, give me a hand. We'll put him in my car and take him over to the hospital.
Oh, no, Chief. A sprained ankle, a bump on the head?
I'm taking no chances with concussion, son. I want them to look you over, and that's that.
Okay, sir, but it seems a pity to alarm my mother over nothing.
You don't get around me like that, Tim. Your kid brother's school is just around the corner from the hospital. I'll pick Jimmy up, take him back to the station. He'll bring your civvies, whatever clothes you want. If you're okay, you can go home from the hospital.
Yes, sir. Well, it's my own fault.
No, it wasn't. False alarms. There's nothing makes me madder.
About half an hour later, the chief's car pulls up in front of the station with a mighty worried Jimmy Collins sitting beside him.
Yeah. Here we are, Jimmy. I'll come in with you, make sure you get everything your brother wanted.
Chief Cody, I've been thinking. I know Tim. He'd hide anything that was the matter with him. He may have been hurt worse than you know.
Well, worrying isn't going to help one bit, son. The sooner you get his clothes over to him, the sooner you'll know. I'll join you at the hospital as soon as I can.
If I could get my hands on whoever turned in that false alarm.
Yes, you and me both, Jimmy. All right, come on. Let's get right down to the locker room. I don't feel in any mood to talk with the boys right now.
Do you know how many false alarms there have been in the last month, Chief?
Too many. What brings that up?
Well, at the last meeting of the junior firefighters, we got together a list. You know, it's part of our job to see if we can't cut them down. We got kids from all over the city in the club now, and they cover different stations and report on false alarms.
Well, I've got a list myself, Jimmy, but that's not enough. Well, look who's here, Detective McGurk.
Hello there, Chief Cody. Hello, Jimmy. Enlisted and pretty young in the fire department, aren't you?
May I ask what the police department is doing here, McGurk?
Didn't they tell you upstairs?
I've got no time for guessing games. I've just come back from a false alarm. Jimmy's brother Tim is in the hospital.
Hey, I'm sorry to hear that, Jimmy. Of course I knew about the false alarm. It's while you were out that whoever it was rifled the locker room here.
They did what?
Well, someone, while the company was out, sneaked in here past the watchman and cleaned the lockers out. Money, valuables, anything handy.
Jimmy, do you know your brother's locker?
Sure, I've been here with him lots of times. I'll take a look.
McGurk, if this was the first time this had happened, I wouldn't say anything. But you've got to put a stop to this.
Well, just tell me how, Chief. It's like your false alarms. There's nothing to point to anyone. Some stranger happens to be standing around, and when the watchman's back is turned, slips in. Not professional crooks, necessarily. Maybe just someone who can't resist temptation.
I don't want excuses. I want action. What'd you find, Jimmy?
Tim's clothes are all there, but they sure cleaned out his pockets. Oh, but that isn't so bad as the ring. I don't know how I'm going to tell him about that.
You sure there's a ring missing, Jimmy?
It must be. It isn't there. And Tim always took it off when he came to work.
Can you give me a description?
It belonged to my father when he was alive. Had his initials, BC, on it. A big ring, all gold.
You know, son, I remember that ring from the days your father and I were rookies together.
Oh, Tim thought a heap of that. Gosh, this has been one unlucky day for him. Well, I guess I gotta tell him.
Well, don't look like that, son. Tell you what I'll do. You get your brother's things together, and I'll drive you over to the hospital. Want to have a little talk with a so-called detective named McGurk. He can come along, too, sort of kill two birds with one stone.
Look, Chief, I'm not to blame for the fact that you had a false alarm and a robbery in the same day. You can't take this out on me. And naturally, I'm sorry Tim got hurt.
Well, then certainly you want to visit him in the hospital, don't you?
Okay, let's go.
Sometime later, Jimmy sits beside a hospital bed, staring glumly at his older brother. Finally, Tim says,
Gee, for Pete's sake, Jimmy, don't look so worried.
Oh, I can't help it. When are they going to know whether you're all right or not, Tim?
Well, that's why the doctor just called the chief and Detective McGurk outside, Jimmy. He's going to give Chief Cody the dickens for wasting his time.
You're joking. Don't you think I see that bandage on your head?
I've got one on my ankle, too, and it doesn't mean a thing. I feel a lot worse about losing that ring than anything else right now.
Yeah, that is tough. You know, I thought the chief was kind of hard on Mr. McGurk about that. I know there's been a lot of robberies in station houses, but gee whiz, Mr. McGurk's not to blame.
Yeah, well, let's admit it, Jimmy. Chief Cody's an old friend of the family. Like you, he's kind of worried about me. He hides it by taking it out on McGurk.
But he thinks he should find those crooks.
Well, of course he does. But deep down, the chief knows there's not much of a chance. What have you got there?
It's that list of all the robberies in station houses last month. And Detective McGurk left it on the table.
Oh.
I thought of something when the chief made him read it off.
Well, Tim, the doctor says there's no concussion. I must say that's a relief.
It's a relief to me, too, Tim. I was afraid your accident had ruined the chief's disposition.
There you are, Jimmy. What'd I tell you?
Ah, gee, that's swell.
All right, where are my clothes? Let's go.
Not so fast, son.
Huh?
You've got to stay here overnight. You're lucky to get out of this as easy as that.
Oh. Well, I suppose so, sir. If it wasn't for losing my father's ring, I wouldn't have a thing to complain of now.
I'll do what I can about that, Tim, but I can't make any promises.
I'm sorry I picked on you about that, McGurk. I know it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. You've got no more chance of finding that crook than I have of finding out who turned in that false alarm that caused Tim's accident.
Well, gee whiz, how do you know you're not both looking for the same person?
Oh, how could a person be in two places at the same time, Jimmy?
Oh, I didn't mean a person exactly, Tim. I meant a gang. Why couldn't the same kids who turned in the alarm have robbed the station house?
Well, first of all, we don't know kids pulled the robbery, son.
But the chief said some kid rang in the alarm.
Well, that's true. Wait a minute. Just what's the connection, Jimmy?
The list of false alarms the junior firefighters drew up during the last month.
Yeah, you kids did a good job. Here, let me take a look at it.
He's giving you my list of the robberies, Chief.
But gee whiz, sir, don't you see? They're both the same.
Both lists are the same, Jimmy?
Sure, look it. I was just comparing them. Look at the dates.
On the first of the month, there was a false alarm in District 7.
And a robbery in that station house on the same date.
It's the same right down the list. Somebody's turning in false alarms just to get the men out of the way.
So somebody else can rifle a deserted locker room.
Holy smoke, the kid's a detective.
Well, it was just luck, I noticed. Well, when you read your list out loud to Chief Cody, it sounded an awful lot like mine.
Well, this looks like a combined job for the police and fire departments, McGurk.
And the junior firefighters, too. If this is a bunch of kids who are working this, you'll never find Tim's ring without our help.
My ring? Why start there, Jimmy?
Whoever's got it is a member of the gang. He must know who rang the false alarm. And that's the guy I want to get. The one who sent you to the hospital is going to answer to me.
Well, that's a tall order Jimmy's setting out for himself. But even so, the older men have to take it seriously. Now, if a gang of youngsters have combined the false alarms with the robberies, isn't it possible that the junior firefighters are the very ones to best track them down? To learn what happens now, be sure to listen to the next true-to-life episode of The Firefighters. In just a moment, Chief Cody will tell you, boys and girls, how you can help the firefighters in your own hometown. But right now, let's listen to this message. And now, Chief Bob Cody with a special message for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Hello, boys and girls. You've just seen how a false alarm can needlessly endanger life. That's a lesson we all ought to learn and never forget. Those of you who listen to me know that I want you to learn how to turn in a fire alarm, that I want you to be sure where the nearest alarm box is to your home. But at the same time, I want you to understand and to impress on all your young friends that it isn't a toy, but a mighty serious instrument to be used only in an emergency. And now, till we get together next time, so long.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's go!
Let's go! Firefighters! Firefighters is a copyrighted feature of William F. Holland Productions.